My name's Jamie Thornton. I'm Head of Accounts Receivable and Billing at TES on a day-to-day basis. I'm a member of the Chartered Institute of Credit Management and have been since 2017. So a fairly lengthy time. My capacity in the Chartered Institute of Credit Management is as chair of Sheffield and District Branch, but also as a regional representative for Yorkshire, so a member of the advisory council to the executive board. So yeah, I've been probably over a decade now. So starting to build that experience up a little bit. So hopefully I've got enough exposure to talk about. Anyways, well, I think overall, I mean, I actually think becoming chair of the Sheffield branch and subsequently member of the advisory council as regional representative of Yorkshire must be up there in terms of sort of that rewarding sort of acknowledgement or recognition. I think in terms of actual experiences, I've been part of teams that have offshored, implemented new systems, so I've taken a lot of joy in supporting or leading on that level of change. But I guess if it was to narrow down to one achievement that's almost like a metric, was joining a business and reducing the over 60-day debtors by 21% in the first few months, and that was kind of like my first specific senior credit role where I was only focused on the AR side of things, not any other sort of transactional elements. But I certainly think as a metric, I think that's got to be up there, and that weren't too long after COVID as well. So quite challenging times in terms of cash flow, but to be able to come in and make and support that level of impact to a business was super rewarding. But that alongside, like I said, the kind of accolade of being part of the advisory council to the largest credit management profession in the world is absolutely up there. So I guess some limitation to how much I can talk about, but there's one particular sort of situation that comes to mind, and I guess the overarching thing being having to make a high risk, high reward decision within a day. So this is an order for a few £100,000 worth of stock, completely new customer, so no trade history, to be delivered almost imminently within that day period. High margin, but required in-depth credit risk assessment, pulling together a lot of data, leveraging relationships already sort of established with the customer as a new business. And I think that particular situation, I think it really made me understand the importance of pulling together with multiple stakeholders, each person and what part they needed to play to get that, I guess, perfect balance of commercial gain. So there's, and this was December, which was for the industry I was in. It was a healthy month, so to be able to say we could potentially go significantly over budget based on this order we didn't expect or didn't forecast for. So that perfect balance of commercial gain while not sort of challenging our position on exposure and risk. But yes, so I mean, it was a big order. Had to pull together a lot of things, and that was all I focused on that day, understandably. And kind of what I learned from that, not just seeing things, I guess, as a what's on paper and can we make a decision based on what's on paper, where's our relationship at, where's our margin at, what additional documentation can we put in place to secure ourselves, so we get, like I said, that perfect balance of commercial gain, but we're not exposing ourselves, so we've got enough to actually kind of fall back and say, well, if worst case scenario this happens, what do we do? Credit managers are inflexible and only focused on cash flow, not sort of supporting that commercial growth, which I think is one key misconception, and hopefully that sort of example that we gave before can sort of help understand why I want to mystify that. But was the impression or the image of credit control being this almost sort of a call centre environment of a team calling customers to pay the debt, but actually so much more goes into the job. And I think quoting Philip King, he put it really well in an ITN production, that credit management embraces aspects of different careers, being accountant, analyst, detective, diplomat, lawyer, negotiator, problem solver, risk assessor, salesperson, and so much more. Being caught in a position where, I think quoting values, one of the values where I work currently is we include everyone. So I think from my perspective, it seems commonplace, but start with the basics is, if we're looking to recruit, for example, is ensuring we're using bias-free language when we're recruiting, not to discourage applications, eliminate requirements from your job post that are unnecessary, and I guess, again, it seems obvious, but ensuring every candidate goes through that same process. And then when I go through that process, I also like, as part of my interview process, that no matter what background that particular candidate is from, that they can provide examples of inclusivity, so that you're continuing to sort of develop that inclusive culture. So we're not just saying this is our value, this is our culture, making sure you bring in the right people on board that can kind of support and develop that. And I think, as obviously as you like to do, and as you'll know for the community and the institute, is I like to network a lot. So for me, it's important for us as well to make sure we're networking and connecting with different communities as well. So continuing to get the word out there, whether it's about actually this particular industry, this particular career, whilst focusing on those basics as well, making sure that the word's getting around, really. And I think it should be key to anybody's role, whether you're developing or whether you're at the level you want to be, you're in a very senior role, you should continue to develop that network and that your own community, right? I think for me, it's harnessing those sort of advanced algorithms with artificial intelligence and machine learning, but utilising that, and whether that's to sort of swiftly and accurately analyse those vast data sets that for us we might utilise to develop a solid, reliable credit risk assessment, or whether it's to accurately and automate decisions on cash allocations. Or what I think is a developing trend, sort of looking at what solutions are offering, is utilising that sort of functionality to strategise. So for us and for my team, something we'll be looking at in the future is strategising the right customers to support our target. So it almost takes away that manual element when the machine or the algorithm can do it for you. But I think as well, different communication methods that may be less traditional, I'm sure, if it's not already in some industries, it's a bit more challenging in the industry I currently work in, but the less traditional methods that maybe we'd maybe use on a personal level to contact, like a WhatsApp or those sort of applications. I'm sure that's, if it's not already, is going to begin to shape how we communicate with our customers around sort of credit management conversations, debt recovery, etc. But for me, certainly AI and machine learning, I think in the next couple of years is going to set off hugely. It's about the team being able to do the more tangible tasks, the more value add tasks, and I think for the more, well, for anyone in the team really, I guess it's a good retention tool as well, because they are also doing the things that we find are proactive, or the really important relationship management sort of conversations that we need to be having as credit teams, as credit managers, right? And I think it helps us sort of worry about the smaller things, sweat the small stuff, and focus on those really value add conversations and the like. Well, I think jumping into that credit role, I initially wanted to sort of revisit my education, and I guess more of a professional education. And like I say, working in a credit role at the time, it was kind of the perfect fit. Sort of seeing the Chartered Institute of Credit Management, what it actually offers. So I started by taking up the level 3 diploma and doing the 4 units at the time. And that's what drew me to the Chartered Institute of Credit Management itself before we got into the sort of branch networks, etc. But yeah, no. So I started on the sort of education trail, and actually started completely backward by doing accounting principles and law before doing I guess what you'd call the starter modules of credit management and business environments. But that very much drew me into sort of different roles within credit management, which at the same time drew me into branch events, sort of initially attending as a casual, and then what grew to actually being involved with the committee, leading a committee and being a part of the advisory council. But certainly as soon as I heard about the professional education you can achieve with the Chartered Institute of Credit Management, that was what really drew me to it, and it just escalated, I guess. Well, I think it's a fantastic network, and I've learned, we've talked a little bit about it, but actually learning so much from experiences of people within that community, or the events that whether we've organised an event for the branch, or whether I've attended an event for the branch where speakers have talked through their experiences, or whether they've talked through some particular solutions that are relevant in the credit management, or those sort of technology aspects, best practices, getting to the basics. But it's really helped me through meeting others kind of shape where I want to be and where I, for me personally, my skill set, what I love doing, and sort of where I can best support businesses. But yeah, no, I mean it's a fantastic network, and there's so many people to talk through different experiences. So yeah, it's a fantastic community. If you'd have asked a few years ago around emerging technologies and stuff, as much as we probably wouldn't have known about it as much as we do now. But we still knew that AI was a thing, a developing thing. I would have never probably envisaged it in the same way supporting credit management as I do now, and I think it's surprising, sort of, particularly where I am, where we're actually assessing potential solutions to support us. Actually, how much it can support us with. So the two elements of how much customer service aspect you have to bring to the role, and I think that's actually imperative and essential for a successful credit management team. But actually, how much technology we can leverage, because you just think, again, that whole notion of it's a person on the other side of the phone, how much of it can go into technology, and there's genuinely so much. I think there's hopefully a couple of surprising aspects there that I wouldn't have necessarily intertwined with this career.